Good morning. Welcome to the program. We got a great day ahead of us today, right? It is Star Wars Day. It is May the 4th. Happy May the 4th to everybody. May the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day. Lots of Star Wars content coming to us throughout the day, not only by Star Wars, Disney, Lucasfilm themselves, but I, for one, am participating in the May the 4th all-day stream presented by the Great Order, where they have a huge list, pretty much starting with this show all the way till, oh geez, here, let me bring it up real quick. All day, finalizing with the Nerd Reactor at 10 p.m. Eastern. So this is going to be a long day. So if you are into Star Wars, if you like your Star Wars content, you have pretty much a plethora of things to watch today, which is great. For myself today, talk about Star Wars, I was hoping we could all have a discussion about the last episode of the Clone Wars, which what we will get into spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. First of all, it's Star Wars Day, so there's no reason why, if you're here thinking and talking about Star Wars, that you should not have seen it. So you should have, but just a general out there spoiler warning there. We will be going into spoilers for that show. And then I also want to talk about the Disney Gallery behind the scenes documentary show that's happening, which is on the Mandalorian. And the way they presented it, it looks like, I think they're going to be doing other shows or movies, because just having the name Disney Gallery, just I imagine once the Mandalorian stuff's done, they're going to go into others, which is great for me. Again, we're going to spoil it. I mean, it's a documentary, there's not really much to spoil, but there was some interesting tidbits that came out of there as far as the behind the scenes process that I would like to talk about. So we have that. We got some other, general movie news that happened around the globe over the weekend that I'd like to get into, touch shortly, like Transformers movies coming, G.I. Joe movies coming. There's a new Superman animated movie coming. So lots of good stuff on the horizon for us to talk about. And let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about it. So what did you guys think about this episode of the Clone Wars? I want your input. I want your intake. Definitely throw your comments in the chat. I would like for this to be a discussion to see how you guys feel, not just about this episode, but we can kind of, now that it's over, we can have a good overall view of the season, the final season. And you know what? I do have to bring something. I'll bring it up in a second. There was an interview that Dave Filoni did on Entertainment, I think with Entertainment Tonight. And he talked about the entire season. And it was very insightful. You guys should go read it. I believe it was, oh no, not Entertainment Tonight. Excuse me. Entertainment Weekly. That's what it was. If you haven't read it, definitely go read this article. And it's very insightful. And I'll touch upon that as well. So this episode, man, this episode was stellar. Absolutely stellar. It was a logical conclusion to not only the season, but a logical conclusion to the series as well. And it was a great bridging of this series and the prequels, of a little bit of both, of a little bit of episode 2 and episode 3. Thought it did a magnificent job. And the reason why I brought up the Filoni interview of Entertainment Weekly was because in it he said that we weren't necessarily going to see in this final episode people like Obi-Wan and Anakin and, overlap and like sort of re-see the same scenes from Revenge of the Sith just to redo it for the show. And I'm so glad that they did it. I'm so glad that they stuck with basically our two main characters throughout the entire series, Ahsoka and Rex, and what they had to go through in Order 66. Let me jump in and see what you guys are saying. Chillmonger says, it's sunk in that they can't add bonus episodes. The war is over. It is. Yeah. I mean, it literally, that's why I agree with you. That's why it's a great conclusion to the Clone Wars, because by the very last shot, I mean, we, like I said, we're doing spoilers, so I'm going to talk about this. They jump forward in time. I wish they kind of told us, but I guess if you're smart enough and you realize that the Stormtrooper outfits are from a New Hope era, or a post-clone era, then you should have gotten that right away. But yeah, so they jump it back in time. So yeah, the Clone Wars are officially over. The actual wars and the show. No bonus episodes. I mean, they could go back, but I think the way Dave Filoni has talked about this series, that he is very happy with how it ended. And he really, like, he didn't get that opportunity when they did the show originally. So this was a nice conclusion for him. And I think he really treated this as a conclusion, which is good. Things do need to end. We don't need it hanging around forever. And better to end on a high note. And we were all worried about ending on a high note at the beginning of the season. But they stuck the landing hard. Mike Porter, good morning. He said, I saw it at midnight on the East Coast. And Brian's watching it for a second time right now. That's good. Yeah, I only got one watching in. I will definitely. Here's what I want to do. I really think, and I don't want to talk negatively, because this isn't really something to talk negatively about. But if I were them, what I would have done is I would have actually combined the last episode and this episode and released it today. They're too connected. Like, I get the cliffhanger. It's fine. And I'm not like overly complaining about it. But I feel like it definitely would have worked well as one piece. But I think they wanted to get that 4 episode arc. So that's what they did. Mike says, last episode, there's so much left. I mean, there's a lot left for all Star Wars in general, which is great. Yeah, I mean, the way that these last 4 episodes were, I definitely could have watched Ahsoka going through and surviving post Order 66. But I guess that's what some of the supplemental, books and novels are meant for. Santa, good morning. Aggressively relaxing. Happy National Bird Day to you as well. Chillmonger says, amazing how one little line Obi-Wan said about Luke's father fighting in the Clone Wars gave us this. What is the little line that will be expanded on the Disney trilogy? Knights of Ren? Never mind, we got those. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I don't know that we're gonna get any hidden lines or like throwaway lines from the new trilogy. But hey, that's fine. We can but let's talk more Clone Wars. So what I thought was stellar about not only this episode but the last few episodes was the use of music. And the music was not your typical Star Wars music. So I would say if anyone is worried about Kevin Kiner taking over the reins for music from John Williams, after these last few episodes, I'm sold. Give that man every film to do music for. Does anybody disagree? I'm very curious because, the use of music in this, where it was not your typical Star Wars music. It was definitely more, I don't know, it had shades of some horror films in there, shades of westerns in there. I mean, it was all over the place in a good way. It really let go of preconceived notions of what Star Wars music was, and just sort of said, fill the scene with sound that fits. And not only crushed it, but like it never threw me out like, oh God, this is not Star Wars. It just was different. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Cinematography. It's so crazy that we could sit here and talk for hours about the cinematography of an animated show. But the way that they positioned the camera was fascinating. And I know we're going to talk about this when we get into the Mandalorian behind the scenes doc, but it's poignant to bring up here that in that round table that they were sitting and talking in, Filoni said that one thing that he learned from George Lucas was to not storyboard, but to imagine the shots based on camera work. And if 7 seasons of working that out brought it to what these 4 episodes were, I mean, some of the most stunning, beautiful shots I've ever seen in an animated show. Hell, in a movie. It was masterfully done. And the story for this one was great. Man, they really went hard with the violence in these last 4 episodes. They didn't show anything graphic per se, although last episode with Maul was pretty graphic when you're beheading people. But in true Star Wars animated fashion, they show you, but they don't. They hint, but they don't. And that's what makes this so good. Let me jump back into the chat. Nerd is the word. Good morning. He says, I love the music in these past few episodes. It was very fitting for these episodes. Absolutely. And that's what I was saying, that it wasn't just the fact that they did random music or even did Star Wars music. They did music that blended so well with the visuals that you were looking at. Aggressively says Star Wars music has never been able to top B. Arthur in the Christmas special, but this episode was all right. 100%. Nothing beats B. Arthur in the Christmas special. Absolutely. Harvey Meyerless. Am I saying that right? Probably not. But Harvey, good morning. Thank you. Kiner or Goranson? Yeah, I mean, either, honestly. I love the work that Kiner's been doing, but yeah, either would be great. Either are doing some stellar job. I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, it's hard. It's going to be hard work filling in the shoes for John Williams, and there's not too many people who are going to be able to do it. Now, we also have, the name I'm looking at right now because the name is escaping me. Michael Giacchino. There's Michael Giacchino too, who I love. I love Michael Giacchino. He does stellar work. He actually is from my area where I live. So Giacchino is great too. So I think the future of Star Wars music is in good hands. At least I hope so. Journey says Emmett Otter has a rebuttal aggressively relaxing. Emmett Otter from Zootopia? I feel like I missed something. Journey, I feel like you. I feel like I missed something. Ambassador, good morning. May the 4th be with you as well. I stayed up last night and watched final episodes. It was so good. I definitely did not stay up to watch it because that would have been 3 in the morning for me. But I did wake up early and watch it. So yeah, overall, my feelings on the Clone Wars, I think that they stuck the landing for this season. I'm not sure that we really needed the first 8 episodes. Even though, and I want to reference that Entertainment Weekly article again. Dave Filoni talked about the episodes with Trace and why he felt that it was needed. He said that what the purpose of those episodes were to really hit home for Ahsoka that her rose-colored glasses vision of what the Jedi were not necessarily what the public thought. And I it's hard to argue that point. So I get what he's saying. I get that the whole concept and the whole idea is that she needed to be knocked down a peg, and her thoughts and ideas of what the Jedi Order was had to be reconciled, especially after she left, and that she's seeing that even though they're supposed to be this beacon of light for all people, that's not the case. So I get what Filoni was, his intentions. I get the intentions. I just don't know that it was executed very well. Ambassador says a Bad Batch arc and the final arc were awesome. Yes, I like the Bad Batch stuff a lot. And he even talked about the Bad Batch in that article too, where he talked about how it was a good thing to start seeing that the clones were becoming individuals. And it sort of why, you know, the theory out there of why things like the Bad Batch, the clones like the Bad Batch, and the individuality of them started the Empire to shy away from using clones and doing more recruitment. So that's sort of what happened there. Harvey says, completely agree. Future of Star Wars music is in good hands. Great job with my last name pronunciation, by the way. Oh, awesome. I probably could not do it again if I tried. Mireless. Ambassador, it was 11:45 p.m. on my time, but it was worth the wait. Oh yeah, that's. If it was 11:45 for me, I would have for sure. Not 3 in the morning. Not happening. Let's see. He also says, honestly, this season was very much about Rex and Ahsoka. Yes, and it should have been. They were our main characters. Now, you could argue, well, Anakin and Obi-Wan were also huge main characters. Yes, they were. But if you can't retell their story just in animated form. You can't do that. So instead of retelling their story, move on to the other 2 main characters, and I'm so glad that they stuck with them. And Maul too. Maul was obviously a huge part of it. Lunga's here. He says, I love that the very last thing you see is the broken clone trooper helmet. I really felt the series was more about the clones than the main Jedi we know. Yeah, 100%. And that was a great. That last scene was heartbreaking too. I'm glad it was like I'm glad that they showed Vader from a distance. I'm glad like you didn't hear him speak. You had to interpret what his feelings were picking up the lightsaber. Do we know what planet that was? Does anyone in the chat know what planet that was? Or I guess technically a moon, right? They said they were in the moon's gravitational pull. So I'm curious if anyone knows that. I didn't have time to look it up. So if you know it, let me know. Alan, good morning. How are you? Welcome to the show. Ryan, good morning to you as well. Goldman has not watched the Clone Wars yet, but he wanted to say hi. Goldman's next on the list, and we'll get to that later. But Goldman, you better watch this episode. It's only like 20 something minutes, so you better go watch it right now, because people are going to be chatting you up in your chat later. Ryan, good morning, man. Good morning. Welcome. Is Hoth? See, that's what I was thinking, Chill. I was like, it's not Hoth. It can't be Hoth because it was a moon. And yeah, Lunga says, they said it was a moon, but no description given. Yeah, that's the only thing I got from it. So clearly, if they thought it was important, they would have let us know. So I know people are gonna spend hours dissecting what planet was that or what moon was that, but clearly it's not that big of a deal. Although that's what we do as Star Wars fans, right? We see one weather pattern and we immediately associate the weather pattern with what we saw in the original trilogy. It's great. I love it. I mean, anytime you see snow, even like myself, I saw snow. I was like, oh, is that Hoth? And I'm like, wait, no, stop. Relax. Not everything with snow is Hoth. As great as that would be, not everything can be. Yeah. Chill says, I thought Jakku was Tatooine. I think we all did at first. I'm still waiting for Star Wars to stay on one planet and show us multiple weather patterns. I think that's what they need to do. Hey Jay, good morning. I still need to watch them all. Hardcore binge content. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you too, sir. Yes. Now that the season is over, definitely go back and binge watch it. As an overall whole, this series is very good. Absolutely very good. Ahsoka, I think, can stand with any Star Wars character. I think Rex can stand with any Star Wars character. For sure. The two of them have, I think, imprinted themselves into the Star Wars universe. I think, especially after this last season, that it is no doubt that they are mainstays for the time for going forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got, I mean, man, there's so much more stories you could tell. All right, so that is Clone Wars. All right, let's talk about the Disney Gallery show of The Mandalorian. This was such a good behind the scenes documentary. Finish the coffee there. All right, this was such a great behind the scenes documentary, and you really got into the mindset of all these directors. Sorry, my son is so excited about Star Wars. This is, I'm telling you guys, this is going to be a common occurrence, at least until all this, health stuff is going away. Because you know what? Unfortunately, the one thing that doesn't exist during this is daycare. But anyway, moving on. So we have this documentary that focuses on the directing of this episode. Now, if you haven't watched this, definitely go watch this. I'm a sucker for behind the scenes stuff. I love behind the scenes documentaries, Star Wars in general. Throughout the years, no matter if you like the films or not, I would say Star Wars might have the best behind the scenes documentaries of all time. I mean, they rival a lot. So we definitely have all these directors giving their different perspectives on how they got there. And I loved how everyone was praising Filoni, but Filoni himself even kind of says like, he's just getting his feet wet in all of this. And in that Entertainment Weekly article too, he's basically like, I always wanted to, do live action, but my background was animation. So it was never really a thing that he thought he would do, but he got this opportunity. Good Lord. Trinity, F them kids, man. Yeah, no, not F my kids. Just stop yelling. You know what he's yelling about? An apple. He's yelling about an apple. Do you mind shutting the door? An apple. That's what my kid yells about. Yeah. He
While holding a banana.
So anyway, Filoni knows. He knows, guys. He knows that he's new to this. And I think that's a great perspective to get out of all of this, is that he, and they make it very clear, he is an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to Star Wars. Trained by Lucas himself. So I forget who said, I think it was Gina Carano or either Bryce Dallas Howard in this. They say like, you literally can go up to him and he will give you a perspective on anything. And that's great to have. And so I think we're all very lucky that he's involved in Star Wars. But I think it's, especially after watching this and especially after reading that Entertainment Weekly article, I think it's very clear that he is where he needs to be. I don't want him running the whole company. And look, Jay, I know you just said, which makes you wonder why Kathleen Kennedy is running all this. I don't want Dave Filoni running the company. I want Dave Filoni telling stories. It's what he's good at. Do I think that a creative influence, a greater creative influence needs to be had with him? 100%. But I don't think that we give him the title of CEO of a company, because that, I'm telling you right now, that will take away everything that you love that he does. He will not have time to tell stories, and that's what we want him to do. I also found it very interesting how, yeah, a chief creative officer, but again, like, look, I get the sentiment. I really do. But once you start, see, I don't think he needs a title to be involved with everything. I know we like to place titles on everything. The chief creative officer is a great title, but being a CCO in this case still may take you away from being a creator. It's still a business title. Yeah, see, yeah, chill. F the titles, just run things by him. That I'm fine with. I'm very weary about, and not because he doesn't deserve a promotion or deserve anything, because I think if there's anyone in the company that has put in the work and done it, it's him. I just want, especially after seeing those last few episodes of Clone Wars, I want him still creating. And look, I think that, I know that we all talked about his episodes being the lowest as rankings of Mandalorian, but watching this, I think that he's learned a lot, and I think that what we're going to get out of him for season 2, I predict we're going to be talking about Dave Filoni's episodes being some of the best. He's a quick learner. I mean, just look at everything going on with Clone Wars. It got, as time went on, it got better and better and better. He's a learner. He gleams how to do stuff, and I think that this was a huge learning lesson for him, these shows. So I'm excited. I even though they were my least favorite ones, I'm excited to see what he can do. Taika was being Taika. He's a goofball. Rick was interesting. Rick, I could tell, is a director who, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but he seems like what influenced him from Star Wars was just the original trilogy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. 100%. I mean, look, when you're a big time director, or becoming a big time director, or doing any of that, you don't necessarily have time to do deep dive into all these like ancillary Star Wars stuff, so it's fine. So Famiua, I didn't say his name because I always mispronounce it, but I believe it's Famiua. What was funny about him was, like, he's like, the first episode I didn't deal with any people, and then in the second episode he did, episode 6, all I did was deal with people, and they knew that was the heist movie. They even referenced it as the heist movie, and Favreau, to his credit, was like, what we tried to do was have basically one singular story vision, which we could tell, but give the creative freedom for the directors to make their own mini movie. And he even called them the mini movies. And we totally got that. Deborah Chow said something very interesting as far as her style. She said, I love genre and I love action. So if all goes well and this Obi-Wan series still comes to light and Deborah Chow is still the director, you're going to get a heavy action show with Obi-Wan. And that perked my ears. I was like, ooh, she loves genre. And she started naming off all these things that she loved and what she worked on. And she was just like, and I love action. I know you could tell with her episodes for sure. But so the things that you loved about her episodes, man, that if you want to talk about the future being bright about Star Wars, we're talking Obi-Wan series with Deborah Chow, loves action, great director. That's some good stuff. And Bryce Dallas Howard too. Favreau was joking in it where he says, you were the newest, you're the greenest, the one with the least experience, but we gave you the hardest episode. And in a way, he wasn't joking. He was being serious, because there was a lot of character moments in her episode, and if that came off cheesy and dumb, I mean, it wouldn't have worked, and then we might have been turned off by the show, because that could have easily been considered a filler episode. But I thought she did a great job of making every moment count and have us caring about our characters to where it was not really a filler episode to me. Let me jump into the chat. Mike Porter says Mandalorian proves that you can have multiple directors and Disney can have a good product. Can we have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni work on the next project, like the next set of movies, next trilogy? Well, so here's the thing. You can't have them work on everything. It's not humanly possible. I also, as much as I know that Jon Favreau loves working on Star Wars and loves working on the movies, I don't think that, look, he never has given me an impression that Star Wars is the only thing that he loves. It's look at this table. They all clearly, all these people love Star Wars, and it's like high on their list for sure. But Favreau is also a creator, and Favreau also has other projects he wants to do in his life. So I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, look, here's the thing. They're in post-production now of season 2. I don't know if it was officially announced, but one of the trades put out that they're working on season 3 already. So he's going to be involved with that. I mean, there's only so much time. He can't really be in charge of a trilogy or even a feature. I mean, you can't. There's so much work involved. A creative assisted hand, sure, but actual on paper work, I'm not sure. Yeah, Mike says at least let John and Dave have some input. Look, I think, and I should hope, and I know we all talk about this a lot, but I really hope that since the opinions of so many on all sides were strong enough and loud enough that I think they heard. I think they heard. And we won't know until we see the next projects. And I'm not even talking about Mandalorian, because I think Mandalorian's kind of proven itself. Hopefully they can keep it going. I'm talking about the next films. Let's see. You know, they're in social rehab. They're in, you know, they were put in movie jail, and they are serving their time. But even if you didn't like the sequel trilogy, and look, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, but I should hope that at least going into whatever comes later, just give it a shot. I don't know. That's my positive message on Star Wars Day. Aggressively says these people are doing a great job producing content. Let's put them in the position of the person who hired them, who is somehow paradoxically bad. I am sure. See, here's the thing. The higher up you are, the more credit, the more blame you get for what goes wrong, and not enough credit for what goes right. It's kind of like sports, right? Where you could win. Let's take the NFL. You could win all of your games. Look, I'm not a big Patriots fan, but they won all of their games going into the Super Bowl, literally every game. And then they blew it against the Giants. And we don't ever talk about how they won all of their games. we only harp about how they blew it in the Super Bowl. We tend to harp on the things that are bad more than we do on the good. So, you know, it is paradoxical in the sense that we give blame for the sequel trilogy, but we give zero credit for things like Clone Wars and Mandalorian. But again, I'm not here to tell anyone what they think. I'm just giving my opinions. Star Wars says, I was intrigued by how much collaboration took place between all of them, Favreau, Filoni, and all of the directors. Yes, 100%. And I think, I'm telling you, I think they're learning lessons, because the collaboration was great. It was so nice to see that and you saw them on set. You know, they were all on set almost. It seemed like for everybody's other episodes, and so they felt the story. They knew the story. They saw it happening. It was great. I love seeing that all the directors were there. What went right? Mandalorian went right. Clone Wars, these last few episodes, those were great. Jay, just got into the office, got hit that 9 to 5. Have a great day. Yeah, have a great day, Jay. In fact, we're probably going to be wrapping up in the next 5 minutes. You know, we had some other stuff to talk about. I think I'm just going to do a quick rundown, because if I don't talk about it today, it'll be old news. So I'll just run through this real quick. Paramount gives new dates for a Transformers movie. This is interesting. Not that they necessarily give them dates, but what kind of movies they're looking at doing. It's going to be possibly a Transformers Beast Wars film, which is way interesting. I was never a big Beast Wars fan. I preferred more of the traditional Transformers, but Beast Wars was huge, so you can't take away from that. And then the other one is reportedly a sort of maybe not a Bumblebee sequel, but a Bumblebee universe type film, and so it's going to come down to one of those two. I think I would prefer a Bumblebee universe movie. I thought Bumblebee was fun, and look, Beast Wars could be fun too. Who knows? All right, we got a new G.I. Joe movie in the works. This, I don't know, man. Do people really care? I'm very curious. If anyone wants to let me know if you really care about more G.I. Joe. I mean, maybe it's just me. I didn't particularly care for the movies. I never really watched. G.I. Joe was never really my thing as a kid. I was more Ninja Turtles. So and Mask. G.I. Joe never really hit me. So not necessarily for me, but that's fine. All right, then we got a couple movie dates that are moving around. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, Spiral, all getting pushed back. John Wick 4 is now going to 2022. Spiral is taking John Wick's old spot of May 1st, 2021. And the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard goes to August 2021. So a lot of stuff gets pushed back. Something that my kids are looking forward to. The sequel on its new date is the Paw Patrol movie, which will make a ton of money, I guarantee you. And then let's wrap this up. Darren Criss, Zachary Quinto, starring in a new Superman animated movie. This would be good. I'm very curious about this because of the animation. The animation looks like Archer almost. So it's quite the departure from their old animation style. So I'm very curious to see this. Not because of the name talent, and name talent's fine. Superman Man of Tomorrow. If it's got a Archer look to it, that could be fun. I like that style. All right, well, that's it. That's another morning in the books. Thank you for joining me this Monday, this Star Wars day. Few things going on. Like I said before, there is the all-day stream marathon happening. You can go check out Goldman coming up at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. The link for his channel is in the description. Later on, Trinity, as you know, with me and Josh and Trinity, we kind of been a nice little morning stream block. So Trinity, I know, is participating in this as well. So you can check him out at Second Street Marvel. Of course, all Star Wars content all day. I know Josh at the Den of Nerds is going to be doing a ton of stuff as well. So definitely go check out all these people. Go check out all their channels. Thank you all for joining in. This has been fun. I hope you have a great Star Wars day. Watch Star Wars content. Go watch some movies. Go rewatch Clone Wars again. I think I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to watch that Clone Wars again. I might even do some Mandalorian. I think it's about time I got my wife to watch the Mandalorian. She's been holding off. She's like literally the only person that doesn't understand the greatness of Baby Yoda. She's the last person left on the planet. So that might be my Star Wars Day mission, is to get her to know that. So thank you all for hanging out. We'll see you next time.